Hello and welcome to Jill Cameron Creations. Today we're going to use some Echo Park Autumn Collection stuff to create a card. We're going to have an owl and some enamel dots, and we're going to use the sentiment from this leaf set, and then we're also going to use a stencil with some embellishing mousse. A quick tip, glue a great big magnet to the bottom of a bowl and your dies will stay put. They won't go anywhere, I promise. You can shake that bowl all day long, it's not going anywhere. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to stencil a background for our card. Here's another tip. Go ahead and tape your paper to the back side of the stencil. Your paper won't go anywhere. And you're not going to have to worry about adhesive on the front of it because washi tape's, not very good. Hey, look, there's my big old head. I thought I saw somebody peeking in my window in the back. I am using a blending tool with a clean sponge on it, and we're literally just going to blend this on as if you were doing ink blending. And the only thing that I would recommend is that you want to, instead of like going in circles like you normally would with ink on your blender, is to kind of do a pounce and twist motion to make sure that it gets down in all those little nooks and crannies. Now, I did the mother of pearl embellishing mousse over the entire background because I thought that the orange would be way too bright if it was just the orange by itself. And I put the orange in the middle in a little oval kind of pattern. I wasn't going for specifics here. I just wanted that orange in the background. And the mother of pearl did really tone that bright orange down, because look at the difference in the container in the top right corner there and what's on the paper on the stencil. So it worked very well for what I wanted it for. But I'd used mother of pearl and what is that, orange blush for embellishing mousse. You don't have to use a palette knife for embellishing mousse. You can use a blending tool and use it just like you would if you were ink blending. And it gives a beautiful shine to the background of on your background there, and I absolutely love it. I'm picking out some papers so I can die cut my owl. I'm not going to bore you with all of the die cutting, but I did want to show you how I picked out all of my papers and what papers I used. And instead of running that entire thing through my die cut machine, because then I'd have to do it individually, I put all of the little individual dies and taped them onto their papers that I was going to use with some micropore tape. This is patterned paper, so it does tear a little bit easier. It's not as heavy as cardstock is, so I used micropore tape because it is a lower tack than the washi tape that I normally would use is. So I picked out a whole bunch of papers from this Dots and Stripes gingham set, and it coordinates with the Celebrate Autumn collection from Echo Park. I don't see any dots in here though. They may have another set of paper packs or something, but I don't get the dots part of it. Anyway, that might just be what they named this particular group of papers and from them. I don't know. Anyway, so you need to cut your owl out a couple of different times in different places so that you have all of the different parts and pieces that you need. But I gathered everything up, put everything on the different areas. I picked some orange paper, and you can see on one side of the paper it's a small print, and on the other side it's a larger print for the gingham. So I picked the smaller prints of everything and did that for his little feet. And yes, I said feet. And also for his little beak, I'll go back and run the same piece of orange through. And for his wings, I'll grab another piece of the gingham. And I did use the large side for that, just so it would show some differentiation in the pattern of the paper, and you would be able to see it very easily. So I taped everything down, and I ran it through my Spellbinder's Platinum 6 machine on the regular sandwich setting that is on the platform on the bottom. And it took me probably, I'm going to say 15 minutes to pick out all of my paper and get all of the die cutting done. Some things you have to run through more than once so that you have all the bits and pieces for your little owl. but I ran them through as much as I could at once. When I was done, I saved the little outline of the owl from my patterned paper when I cut it out, so I could trace it onto a piece of typing paper, and then I fussy cut on the inside of the line. Be sure that you cut on the inside of the line so you don't have any paper peeking out. What we're going to do is we're going to paper piece our owl onto this little piece of paper so that it has a solid backing. Now, one thing that I didn't do and take into consideration when I was cutting my little owls and parts and pieces out, I forgot to cut the owl's face out so I could piece in his face. So I don't realize that until later. My dry adhesive that I'm using is a Tombow permanent adhesive. I usually get it from Amazon. They have the 3 packs of it for like $7 or something. But I use that more than anything. So I start piecing my owl together, and that's when I realized I didn't cut out his face. So I just popped his little face in there, and then I'm going to run that through my die cutting machine real quick and get his face cut out. But it also cuts the backing piece out. So I just cut a little sliver of paper off for that and tape it to the back, and voila, it's fixed. No big deal. And see, little sliver of paper. I love my scissors. They are Fiskar scissors, and they are Teflon, and they have nothing sticks to them. I absolutely love them. I absolutely love them. And I didn't get real precious with this at all. I literally just tore the paper off the back that I didn't need. Literally just tore it off. It's just typing paper. So, got that done. Now we're going to zip through the rest of this. I have a couple of recommendations when you're die cutting teeny tiny pieces like this and to put back together. One, I would have a tool-in one from Spellbinders. It has the brushy looking thing on the end of it, but it also has the piercer on the other end of it, and it has a couple of different attachments. That tool-in one is great to poke out all of your little pieces and parts up when you start die cutting. The second thing that I would recommend is having a Marvy jewel picker like this. It has a tiny end and it also has a bigger end. I use the bigger end when I'm doing sequins or jewels all the time and putting those on my projects. But this teeny tiny end is great for paper piecing when you're doing die cut piecing back like this. Now, some people have, oh, I'm sorry, my phone's sitting right here. Some people have problems with this one in that it either sticks too much or it doesn't stick enough. And I have found that if you just take your fingers and tap on the end of it a little bit, it's perfect. And when it stops being sticky, just wash it off. Don't use a baby wipe or anything. Just wash it off with water and let it air dry, and the tack will come back to it perfect, just like it needs to be. And my liquid adhesive preference is the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive. I get it from scrapbook.com, and it is absolutely amazing adhesive, and it's inexpensive. It is not expensive at all, and a bottle will last you forever. I don't know about you, but I like something that's, I'm getting my money's worth out of it. Something that's going to last me for a while, and I don't jump for the new fads constantly when it comes to adhesives, unless it proves to me that it's better than everything else. This glue has proven to me that it's better than pretty much everything else that I used. I used to use the Multi-Matte Medium, and I liked it, but I hated that the bottle was so hard to squeeze. This is not. So there's our little owl, all cute. We are going to die cut the Thankful. This is from the Leaves stamp set, die set, and we are going to die cut this out of a coordinating paper pack. It's a 12 by 12 pack that coordinates with the Celebrate Autumn collection from Echo Park, and it's solid colors. The only thing that I'm not real fond of. I used it because of the colors, but the one thing that I'm not real fond of is that this leaves a white edge on everything. And you can take a Copic marker or something and edge it, and it will be just fine. Or you can leave it alone. That's entirely up to you. But this paper is thinner than cardstock. So most of your cardstocks are going to be about 65 to 80 pounds for colored cardstock, and this is more in between typing paper, heavy bond typing paper, and that 65-pound paper, and it has a white core on it. Just take a marker and color the core, or you can find you some colored cardstock that you like. I die cut this 4 times, but I only went with 3 because the 4th one messed up. It tore or something, so I didn't use it. The other thing that I will say about doing tiny die cuts, if you notice, I switched adhesives. This is a much daintier die cut and when I have the daintier ones, I use Zig 2-way glue to adhere my die cuts together, not necessarily to my project. So I went with an A2 size, a stitch rectangle frame. This is from MFT. They're stitched rectangle dies. I have both sets of them. I couldn't honestly tell you which set this came from. I don't have them labeled set 1 or set 2. I just have both of them and pull out whichever one I want to at that time. The other thing that I will say about stacking your die cut sentiments, start in the middle and work your way out. If you line up the middle perfect, most of the time the rest of it just kind of falls into place very, very, very easily without a problem. If you have a problem getting your washi tape off of your project, you don't want to hurt it in any way, push the paper out of the die and away from the tape, and then peel it straight up and fold the tape back on itself, and it will come up without tearing your paper, hopefully. And if it does tear your paper, you can most of the time fix it, so don't panic too much. So now we're going to pull out the big mama Scotch roll tape. I love me some Scotch foam tape. Woohoo! Scotch foam tape. And we're going to adhere our owl down with our Scotch foam tape. Literally just stuck it on the back, tore it off. That's why I love Scotch foam tape, because it tears so easy. Pull that release paper off of there, and we're going to adhere this down to our card front in the center of our orange blush center. And to adhere our sentiment onto our card front, I think I used just regular old liquid adhesive there. My card base is 110-pound Nina Solar white top folding A2 size card with my Teflon bone folder. Say that 5 times fast. It just doesn't want to come out right. I use Tombow permanent adhesive. I put a whole lot on there. Sometimes I do use liquid adhesive. It just depends on what I'm going with, but most of the time I'll just use a tape runner, a dry tape runner like that. So we'll go ahead and get our, nope, I went back to my Zig pen, sorry, Zig 2-way glue pen. And this is one of those pens that you push down to get the liquid inside of it to flow. And sometimes on the thicker areas I will push down on my pen and get more adhesive to come out so that it will stick in those bigger, thicker areas. And then we're going to put that down on here. We're going to use an a Nuvo Aqua Shimmer pen. And I've heard those things called several different things, glitter gloss and something else, but it's an Aqua Shimmer pen, and it's the clear one. And it puts down a very neutral glitter. The Wink of Stella is more of a champagne gold color, and the Spectrum Noir is a little bit more silver. All 3 of them are clear, but the hue of the glitter is different in all 3 of them. And I really like the Aqua Shimmer pen. It goes on very, very nice, and it's kind of a neutral color. So on top of that, of course, we have to have our glossy accents. Now, the one thing that I will say about glossy accents is you always, I've found no way around this, but other than to dig in the bottle and to open it up, it always glues shut for me. I tried sticking a pin in the top of it. I tried changing the top out and putting one of those that has the pin that goes down in it, and it just, none of them have worked. So I just still dig in the top of it, and I'm just perfectly happy with that. And go ahead, and if you have problems or your glossy accents runs over the side or it needs to be spread out more, use a straight pin and just spread it out a little bit, and that'll work perfect. And we are almost done with our card today. And if you have any questions or you want some feedback on something that you're working on, you get stuck, or you have a question for me about my process or anything like that, don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you so much for liking all of my videos and subscribing to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out my blog at jillcameroncreations.com. And also, I can be found everywhere on social media, Jill Cameron Creations. Tag me in some of your stuff so I can see it. I want to see it. Yay! The enamel dots coordinate also with the Celebrate Autumn collection. These are from Echo Park as well. And we are all done. Thanks so much, and y'all have a great day.